I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see from up here. The world seems.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup here at Richmond. Tonight we're racing here at Richmond, one of the shorter ovals out there, one of the trickier ovals as well. And joining me up in the booth tonight is Jonathan Hancock and, of course, JP on the cams. How are you going tonight, Jono?
Good, how are you, Carl?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Looks like it's going to be a tricky race tonight. It's one of those races that can really catch people out.
Oh yeah, definitely. We saw the Coke series here earlier this week, and there was a lot of cautions throughout. Not much green flag racing. It's a very one-line track. If you get on the outside groove there, you're going to get filed back through the pack, and it's very slippery throughout the track.
It is, and you can really get caught out here, especially on those lines when you get out there on the marbles. It is really painful sometimes. We've just got Jason Hartigan going out there. He's sort of on his second lap now, I think, or just finishing up. Setting relatively good time, getting up there in P2 at the moment. Matt Danson has managed to get up there in P1 for the time being, though. Edward Foster jumping up there in P3 as well. Great job for Foster there. A little bit under the weather. He set an identical time to Hartigan in the practice session, and he was only off by a couple of tenths, but he's dropping down a little bit now. Cher Thompson up in the top five now, and Josh Micklemore actually going to the top of the timing. Track position is very important here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. As we just saying, the outside line isn't where you want to be, so getting that first place compared to that second place in qualifying here is going to be big, especially off the jump, as we see Jason Martin go to the top.
A great lap there by Jason Martin, and it seems like everybody's doing a sort of single lap run on this one. It's a shorter qualifying session than normal. We are starting earlier than normal as well, if you didn't notice. We are doing that because there's been a slight change in the server time changing around for getting the updates out, so we've had to move an hour earlier. But we've got Michael Skurlock out there on the track at the moment, and it looked like he was going for a second lap, but just abandoned it at the last moment. He's managed to get up there in the top four, and Skurlock has been, he's been on fire recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been doing very well. He's been getting those wins under his belt, and a good set of finishes there. Now, he's not with Illusion anymore, unfortunately. They closed, as we talked about last week, but he's doing well as a privateer now.
Yeah, he's showing, doesn't need the team behind him. He's got that skill still, and he took that win last time out at Bristol, and really doing well. If we look at the championship standings, he is leading at the moment, leading Josh Micklemore by, I can't do maths now, by 9 points. So he's got a good lead on Micklemore at the moment. Danny G there in third. The Mitch Motorsport boys are strong still. They still got those sort of top two spots. Edward Foster is next down the line in JP Simshed Motorsport, of course, and of course they're a new team this year, so going well for them. Matt Danson's fifth currently with Chris Purnell sixth. Brett Gerarditz is seventh with James Roby eighth. Great job from James Roby last weekend out, getting a well-deserved second place. Dave Douglas in the top 10, as we would expect, and Jason Martin is currently 10th in the championship standings, a little bit further down than you'd expect for Martin.
Yeah, he's, as you can see here tonight, qualified first, and he's a very strong driver week in, week out with the Mitch Motorsport guys. They are all very strong drivers, so surprising that he's down the order that far in the championship.
Yeah, he had some unlucky moments and, caused himself some bad moments, unfortunately, but we're pretty much wrapping up qualifying here. We've just got Riley Curtis just finishing up the lap. Mick Wilson, and not sure if Bradley Kent's going to actually qualify. So we're going to head to the highlights, and we'll see you when we get back to our race server.
If you lend me your ears, I'll show you how. Macy's Day Parade of a public life. We all try to get along. It's not always your own fault, but we try to face it. And so what was never broke. The gap here widens the way you feel it shows the kind of person you are.
Yeah, Hybrid Racing Solutions white flag lap now, and Skurlock looks to have this one in the bag. Looking pretty good for himself. Really doesn't look like anyone else is going to be able to make any positions, and Skurlock crosses the line and gets that one.
Through the wall! Oh, you never see light no more. Through the wall! When no sound escapes at all. Through the wall! Oh, you never see light no more. Through the wall! When no sound escapes.
And welcome back, everybody, and we're back in the practice session here at Richmond, Virginia, of course. Well, it's going to be a tricky one here tonight, isn't it? It is quite harsh out there. The track is quite warm as well. Track temperature at the moment is 48 degrees, and that's certainly going to hinder those tyres. They're not going to be enjoying that one at all.
No, they'll definitely not be enjoying that. So there'll probably be a fair few cautions here tonight, which could take some of the strategy away from tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, it could really affect people, and the tyres really scream out here as well. They don't enjoy this track. Obviously, there's a bit of braking needed as you go into the long corner, which is it's basically just one giant corner across the start-finish line, and then a bit of a straight at the back here at Richmond. But they really do get a beating across this track, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely do. Like you said, it's a continuous type of long arched through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So compared to other tracks where you have that more banked type of situation and a bit more room through the corners, it's one of those ones where the tyres are under a lot more stress here.
Yeah, it's stress and strain, and then of course what happens is when the tyres get more stressed, you get more debris from the tyres as well, and that causes that outside line to be more treacherous. So it could be really quite risky tonight, just overtaking people, especially later in the race as the marbles start to form on that outside line.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be up in the dirty stuff. You'll just find yourself falling back through the pack, and that will also cause you to get a lot looser and in turn burn through your tyres a lot quicker.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be one of the big things tonight. Fuel is not really an issue here. It's going to be a tyre race for sure. We're sort of in the race start video we had, we're sort of expecting drivers to do about 40 to 60 laps on tyres at most from what we've sort of seen. But that could change with this heat.
Yeah, it could, depending on how it's all affected during the heat cycle of the tyre and also of the track. As we know, iRacing is dynamic weather, so we could see cloud cover come over, but it's unlikely.
Yeah, the clouds could really make a difference for this one. Of course, we're just going to get through the practice stages here, and then the grid will form up, and we'll go through the full grid once they do that. But just so you know, for upcoming events, on the where am I? On the 20. Wait, am I on the right? Yes. Just looking through. We have the Jinx Super 2 series on the 21st of April. We've got Phillip Island. That's going to be sort of morning circuit, and then on the 28th we have Road Atlanta, full course there, and of course for the ANZCAR Cup Series, the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup Series, next up we've got Talladega on April the 23rd, and that's going to be that's going to be a different track entirely, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be more of a flat out style track compared to this.
Yeah, we go to Talladega and then to Dover, so it really we're just going through all of the possibilities for basically uh, NASCAR racing. All we need there is a street circuit, really. But yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Just Talladega is always a bit of a gamble. Like all super speedways, it's very different to these short tracks, and it takes a bit of a different driver to do well on those tracks as well. Historically, we've seen people like Dave Douglas sort of flourish out there, but him being out on his own now, that could affect him. We might see him struggling a little bit because he won't have people to work with as much. And we could see some of the larger teams like Mitch Motorsport, Middle Finger Racing, and of course JP Simshed really doing well there because they've got a lot of cars to use to their advantage with the draft.
Yeah, as we go to grid here and we're gridding up to go around.
Yeah,
I'll go through the top five if you want to go through the rest. So we've got
absolutely.
Jason Martin sitting on pole position here, Josh Mickelmore, Matt Danson in third, Skurlock in fourth, Hamish Gallagher in fifth.
And then in sixth place, we've got Danny G with Kai Sloggett next to him. Jason Hartigan lines up next to Matthew Cluett. Shea Thompson gets 10th place with James Roby in 11th. Bradley Allison is next to Edward Foster in 13th. Norman Clark, Phil Otto 14th, 15th. Tristan Koch with Lachlan in 17th. Raymond Yeager's out the track tonight in 18th. Next to him is Rob Fletcher, a name I haven't seen for a long time, I don't think. I vaguely remember the name, in 19th. Then Michael Latterer in 20, and 21st is Matt Hunter. Riley Curtis 22nd, and then rounding out the grid we have Mick Wilson, another name that I'm not familiar with actually. I've not seen Mick Wilson out before, so might be a newer name to the actual to the Cup series at least.
He did a few races earlier on in the year. I think he's always floating around there somewhere, but maybe he missed a round or two. He's a rookie this year, so
Yes.
we'll see him hopefully have a good race. We like to see everyone have a good race and a fair race out here.
Absolutely, and of course, the rookies have a bit to race for this year because there is the Rookie of the Year award this year, which is going to be interesting to see how that shapes out, and that's going to be with Virtual Motorsport Mentor. There we go. I can actually say words. But yeah, going to be an interesting one for them, and it's always tricky for rookies in this series because it is such a different racing style, and when you come out here on Richmond, it is just such a different circuit to race on because it's so different to every other oval in the fact that it is this really weird D shape of that continuous turn into a straight, and it can be very hard to get your rhythm on this track.
Yeah, it can be. It's like the dog leg, I guess. There's very specific, we'll call them ovals, that demand very specific driving styles, I guess.
Absolutely, and you'll see drivers that are a little bit easier on their tyres have an easier time, but we're going to go silent here for the first lap under green as we start the race for Richmond. We get a clean first lap as they go around, so so good start to things. Although we've got Raymond Yeager down there just getting lapped already. Just seen him just pulling out of the way. Not sure what's happened to Yeager there. Something possibly a technical issue or something like that. Seems to be going very slow and actually coming into the pits possibly right now. So unfortunate for Yeager there. Jason Martin has managed to pull out a decent little bit of a lead here with Josh Mickelmore slotting in behind him and just blocking off Matt Danson for the attack. We've seen a few drivers get very close to the wall already. They're playing a bit of a wall of death on this track already, and it is a bit of a risky thing to do sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's
As,
one of
as we see Josh Mickelmore getting in front of Martin as Martin loses a bit of time there. Just going back to have a look at that, just to see what happened. I think Martin just
maybe getting hung up on the outside or getting a bit too high up, blew through the corner a bit too far, coming in too bit hard.
I think he missed a gear. Just listening to it, it sounded like it gear missing or something like that because he lost a lot of time there. I just heard the gear drop down and over rev, so something I think just missing a gear or just putting it in the wrong spot there. So he's lost a lot of time there, and a lot of positions.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I wonder if it was some technical difficulties on his end, or we'll call them mechanical difficulties, or if it was a actual mistake on his end.
Yeah, well, it is. We've got a bit of an incident with Mick Wilson. We're still under green. Wilson has gone round though, and just managed to loop it, just going through the through across the start finish line, and the back end stepped out as he's gone into turn one. A very easy mistake to make. He's tried to correct it a few times and then overcorrected it and gone right around, but Riley Curtis just managed to miss that one. But he's just got out now and he's just in front of the leaders, so he's gonna have the leaders coming up very quickly on him now, and he's probably going to pull in and let them by. Yes, he pulls down and lets them by. Very good move there for Mick Wilson. Unfortunate spin there, but an easy thing to do. This is where this track is really perilous. On cold tyres, this track is an absolute nightmare. When you go out for the first couple of laps here, the rear just wants to just go in front of you. It's almost like you're racing the rear end of your car. It's always trying to overtake you.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where even when the tyres are warm, it's bad. So when the tyres are cold, it's just terrible.
Yeah, it really catches you out. And then, of course, you've got the walls that are so close to you there as well. And, you know, when you have that little mistake, when the car does step out that little bit, you then get the problem of, you know, having to correct it. And then you might overcorrect it as well, like Wilson just did. And it's also a thing of getting the gears right as well sometimes here, because some drivers do sometimes shift down to third through the corner. Most of them will keep it in fourth around here and just keep in the same gear, but you will see a couple of drivers just sometimes dropping down a gear just because they just lose a little bit too much RPM, and you know that can catch you out as well, because the rear will just spin around on you very quickly if you drop down a gear and you're not at the right RPM.
Yeah, I'm not one of those drivers to drop a gear, especially on cold tyres. But that's probably what will happen with Jason there. Maybe he's using a H pattern at home and he's just dropped it down one too many. Who knows? As we see Matt Danson trying to go on the inside here, pushing Josh up onto the outside line, which here, as we talked earlier, you got nowhere to go.
Mickelmore has got a decent drive off the last corner of turn 4. Sorry, I had to work out that in my mind there for a moment. It's odd corners here. He did get a little bit of better drive off, but Danson just had that inside line, a little bit more grip, and that's managed to get him in front. Gallagher is chasing him down there. Hamish Gallagher is having a very good race here, up in third place at the moment.
Yeah, Hamish is a very strong driver. I race with him with the ANZCAR truck in the Xfinity series, and he's one of those drivers that tends to outdrive me week in, week out, so he's a very strong driver, to say the least.
One of those drivers you shake your fist at and go, why are you so quick, damn you? It's sometimes frustrating having that sort of thing where you just have a driver that's like just that little bit quicker than you, but we're very talented drivers out here, and it's amazing the difference it can make in driving styles. You know, a tenth of a second is a lifetime around one of these tracks.
Yeah, it sure is. And on Monday night, he chose to undercut me, and I did the silly thing and didn't cover him, and that got him the position at the end of the race over me that we were fighting for. So I should have pitted to cover him, but I thought I'd run it to the end of the fuel window, and yeah, it just didn't work out for me in the end. I lost too much time by then.
Strategy is another thing that makes a big difference, of course, and we might see that come to play here because the undercut is going to be quite powerful here tonight, especially if those temperatures keep up where they are. We're still looking at 47-degree track temperatures, which is it's quite warm for a track temperature. And of course those tyres are constantly going around that corner, and that's generating more and more heat. And the problem here as well is you actually have to use your brakes, and when you brake you put more heat through the tyres, of course. It's a way of warming up tyres when you're in GT racing. Sometimes you'll ride the brake, even in stock cars as well, you'll ride the brake on your outlap or something like that just to get a little bit of heat through them. But when you've got a very hot track like this, when you are using your brakes and relying on your brakes, you can have problems with overheating here, and it can get all too hot all too quickly.
Yeah, I'm one of those drivers that rides my brakes myself. I learned that from driving supercars and GT cars, and then I just brought it over to stock cars here, and it seems to work for me to warm up the tyres in those few laps that we go before we go green each and every race. So each driver has their own style. Yeah.
Just don't try it in a GT3 car when you've got the ABS on. It doesn't work so well. We've got some battles going on behind, though. At the moment, we've got a good battle going on between Danny G, Matthew Cluett, and Jason Hartigan is catching up to that little group there as well. The Mitch Motorsport car of Danny G is just really having a good little scrap, as well as Foster and Roby. But I think the Danny G and Cluett battle, Hartigan has got a great run on Danny G there, just pushing him to the outside, getting underneath him and getting that position. JP's going to be happy about that one, I imagine. Yeah. And we get confirmation of that through our headsets. Yes, so the boss is happy. Great move there for Hartigan, though. And now he's going to try and catch up to Cluett.
Yeah, we see that move if you get the driver on the outside. It's the end of it. They can't do too much there from the outside line.
No, it's all about car positioning, and it's a skill that it's a skill that, it is quite difficult to learn, but when you get it right, it really pays off. And if you can position that car in the right spot, it can really put the other driver off.
Yeah, it's like the race I was doing earlier this week. I'll go back to that. I had a lot of trouble passing Lachlan in the JP Simshed car to try and take second away from him and still leave him enough room to be respectfully racing him. I just couldn't find a way around because how he was positioning his car on track.
Yeah, absolutely. It's positioning is a huge thing, and it's strange when you look at an oval track like this, you can see cars can go probably about 4 or 5 wide around here if they're extremely brave and going slow and stopped at the same time. But when you're actually racing, it is pretty much you can just about go 2 cars wide here, and it is very tricky. And you can just see Matt Danson's pulling out a massive lead at the moment. He's 2 seconds in front of Josh Mickelmore now, as Raymond Yeager got excited there for no reason. But Mickelmore is going hard. He's pushing the car, but he just isn't getting the speed in there, same as Danson. And then just catching up to him is Gallagher, and Gallagher is catching on Mickelmore at the moment.
Yeah, Gallagher's doing good to catch Josh there and stay with him. It would be hard out here, especially with these now lap cars. They've been good getting out the road for everyone. But one little mistake from any of these drivers, I'm surprised that Touchwood was still green 30 laps in.
Yeah, I think we would have lost a couple of bets, actually, if we bet before the start of this race. Just jumping back, actually, James Roby's just made slight contact with the wall. Nothing interesting or major, but he did just make a little bump on the front of his car, just going through the corners, and that's just helped Foster catch up to him. Battling with Cher Thompson at the moment. And Hardigan has
got that drive before under Matt P, and he's just got him through 1 and 2. They're still on the bottom line, but he has cleared him.
nice work.
That'll be another good one for JP there.
Yeah, good position going there and good drive there. Hardigan has been a bit of a star this season. We saw him come in late last season and just start out in the Cup Series, but he has been very strong this year and just getting stronger and stronger. It's good to see some of the sort of newer, fresher drivers to the series really putting up a good fight. Currently catching up and trying to catch up to Skurlock now, who's got a bit of a lead over Hartigan. He's got a good couple of seconds over Hartigan at the moment, but we'll soon see that one come through. Sorry, my timing's just playing up very slightly. There we go. I've got enough timing when it plays up a little bit, but yeah, Danson's now catching up to the tail end of the traffic and just passing Riley Curtis for the A1 Sim Sport car there, Riley Curtis, and he's just starting to go through the lapped cars now, and he's going to be catching up to Lapland sort of relatively soonish, and a few of the other lapped cars there. So we'll have to see how he does through this traffic. Sorry, Tristan Koch was catching up to. I had Matt Hunter on my screen. Sorry about that. Matt Hunter has the Riley Curtis design paint on his car at the moment, so it caught me out there for a second, unsurprisingly.
Trust you, Carl.
It's not like me to make a mistake, is it?
Never. But having a really good race here so far, a lot of green flag running, which is really good, and that just shows again the quality of our drivers here. We don't go for quantity, we go for quality here at ANZCAR, and as you can see, it pays off.
It does. Just looking down the field a bit, it looks like Hartigan's had a little bit of a moment. Oh, sorry, no, he's just not pulling away quite as quickly from Fluet. He's trying to catch on Sloggett at the moment, and we've got a good battle going on between. Well, we had a good battle going on between Skurlock and Martin as well. Skurlock's managed to get past Martin up into P4, and now he's on the tail of Gallagher. So Skurlock's got a quick car underneath him as well now. So the drivers who have been like keeping their tyres a little bit, a little bit sort of fresher than others, will really start to pay off sort of soon. You'll see drivers who weren't quite as quick at the start of this stint start to catch up again in a moment. You'll get a bit of a sort of yo-yo effect.
Yeah, it's something that you see with the drivers that tend to make good use of their tyres. They have drivers that burn it off in the, say, first quarter of the stint, and then drivers that can hold it in the second and third quarter of the stint, and then pit in the fourth quarter of the stint. And that's where you get the most time, is in that second, the third quarter, as most of the guys tend to burn their tyres off in the first quarter or the first to second quarter.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of the drivers that is guilty of burning off the tyres in the first stage of a race. I tend to be quite hard on tyres, but somebody that isn't very hard on tyres and is extremely very gentle on tyres, in fact, is Matt Danson. And he's one of those guys that just manages to keep speed and tyre wear just so balanced, and that's part of his success, really.
Yeah, as we see him nearly out to a 3.5 second lead here, it's one of those things that Matt has always had as a driver, is being able just to keep those tyres on, and a lot of those higher up drivers like Matt with the 7,000 plus I rating tend to be able to do little things like that, and that's why they are as high and as fast as they are.
Yeah, it is one of those things that you just have to. It's almost it's jaw dropping when you actually see it, because it's just it's a very hard thing to do to sort of keep these tyres so fresh and keep them working for you, because it's a lot of work on the actual wheel as well, and you're putting a lot of effort to keep the tyres actually in that sort of neat stage, because the smoother you are driving, the less tyre wear you use as well, the better the tyres work for you, and it's a definite skill, and it is one of those things that does take a long time to learn sometimes, and it's not easy. It can be quite hard to get. You do get some circuits where it doesn't matter quite as much, but on a circuit like Richmond, especially sort of with track temps as they are, keeping your tyres relatively fresh is a very important thing indeed.
Yeah, it is. As we see, Hamish Gallagher had a bit of trouble getting through lap traffic there, and has now got Mickle Skurlock on the back of his tail.
You're trying to outdo me for mistakes this race, I say. The battle is on. Yeah, so Skurlock just catching up, and it's been quite tricky actually with the illusion dissolving. It's really thrown us out, because obviously there's been a lot of changes of livery, and it makes it quite tricky, because you get so used to seeing somebody in a certain paint job, and then all of a sudden you've got a polka dot car coming up behind you, and you go, "Who's that?" And it's Skurlock.
Yeah, and some drivers we use first names for, and other drivers we use last names for, and that can trip you up too sometimes.
That's it, and then you've got some drivers that you can't even pronounce their name, and that where it gets really tricky.
That's where I just leave it to you, right?
That's it. But as we go through, yeah, everything's getting pretty nice and quick at the moment. It's pretty much evens as it stands. We've got a few drivers just getting lapped at the moment. Tristan Koch out there just dropping the lap down, and he's being very respectful of drivers, letting them know where he's positioned in the car. Just hearing him call over the radio, just letting the drivers know that he's going up high, and just really keeping in a good position so he doesn't sort of get in the way, so to say. But when we say get in the way, he's still going at an immense rate of knots, and he's still ahead of Mick Wilson, who had that earlier moment. Who's 2 laps down. We've got Michael Lasseter, who is 3 laps down, and Roman Jaeger's back in the race, 6 laps down. But they're still going. We've got all of the 23 starters in the race still, which is something we didn't expect to see.
No, definitely not. We're already a quarter of the way through the race. I was just looking.
And James Roby's the first to actually pit, so we've got a pitter coming in on lap 52. So about where I was actually expecting to see the first sort of stops to come in. So I'm pretty happy with that. And Hamish Gallagher's coming as well. So we've got a couple of pits, a couple of stoppers coming in. And this is probably going to cause other people to come into the pits as well now, because they're going to come out on fresh tyres, and they're going to have some serious speed. Cardigan there just getting a big tank slapper, who's going through the end section of the oval there. Easy to do, especially on these tyres as they get more worn. The more worn the tyres get, the hotter they get, the worse they get. It's like driving on runny custard. And you can just see Matthew Clerk behind him, actually, his tail just stepping out there just as he's getting onto the straight. The back end of the car really not happy now. And four-wheel drift there for Clerk, completely drifting it through turn number 1 and turning into turn number 4, turning into turn number 1 as well. A lot of drifting on that car. The car just sliding sideways. Not much lateral grip coming into these cars at the moment. They're starting to look a little bit scary out there.
Yeah, you find with a lot of these cars, with how the iRacing tyre model is, you have grip up to a certain point, then you just have no grip. and it's then becomes uncontrollable. So lucky that he was able to stay within that small window of controllable,
Oh,
no grip.
sorry, just very, very close there to a big accident. Riley Curtis almost getting it. I think it was Riley Curtis. Sorry, almost getting into
Yeah.
James Roby, who's just absolutely flying. He's just got past Matt Danson and just pulling away at the moment, just showing the power of those fresh tyres. Absolutely easing away from him there. Very, very close there though. And this is where mistakes can be made, because when you've got these guys on fresh tyres coming through, it's so difficult because they've got so much more grip than you. It's you can't believe that they're able to stay in that position while you're there skidding out and trying to hold on for dear life through a corner.
Yeah, it's something that is hard to see when you're the driver on the old tyres, is a driver flying by you on fresh tyres, but it's also part of the game. You're going to have that on them long term, on a stint, compared to them having it now and having it short.
Yeah. And we've got Edward Foster currently just coming up on Danny G. So a bit of Niche Motorsport and JP Simshed action going on the track. Jason Hartigan's pulled out a decent lead from Danny G now. They were fighting a little bit earlier on. Matthew Cluett between them. Foster is right on the tail of Danny G now, though. It looks like Foster's tyres are holding up a little bit better than Danny's at the moment. He's just got a little bit more speed and just able to keep that car tucked in a little bit lower than Danny G. Just able to get a bit more drive off the corner as well. As Danny G just gets a slight bit of oversteer coming across the start-finish line there.
Yeah, that's something that I've noticed with Edward in practicing in the Open iRacing series, and also here in ANZCAR practicing alongside him, that he's able to make those tyres last a bit longer than the regular drivers as he goes underneath Danny G there.
Yeah, he makes it look almost easy there and just slices his way through. As we've got Michael Latterer coming up behind Edward Foster, and Latterer is on fresh tyres, of course, and you can sort of see the difference of those slightly fresher tyres. Latterer actually stopped on lap 29, so the tyres aren't as fresh as Foster's, but they're fresher than his. Also, I think that's James Roby as well, just catching up on very fresh tyres. He just stopped a couple of laps ago, and he is just catching Foster at a vast rate of knots. He's just going to breeze past him here, and 1 second the difference there, and that's sort of what we were expecting for this sort of late stage of the race. Was about a second to a second and a half difference between fresh and used tyres. Obviously, what these guys are going to want to do is get to lap 75 in this race, so they can make it a single stop race, because with people like James Roby and Hamish Gallagher, they're looking to two-stop this race. They're looking to make a bit of a gamble.
Yeah, they're looking to make a short-term gain to cover up for the longer stint that these guys are going to be doing, to hopefully they'll be in the competition towards the end there.
It could pay off for them, and of course it could pay off for them when some other people do go in. And I think I just saw a car going around. Yes, Mick Wilson going around in the background there, I think. Just going a little bit slow, sorry. He's just coming into the pits. But yeah, we'll probably see a couple of cars just struggling out there. And when they come back out on fresh tyres, there is a chance that there could be a caution thrown, things like that. And that could really, really affect some of these guys, and affect their sort of their race. And the guys that are coming a little bit earlier could really pay off here. The car that I saw going around was actually Luckman. Luckman actually went around a couple of laps ago. He just lost the rear end. He managed to keep it very well, but he is four-wheel drifting around the high line at the moment. It is not looking very comfortable out there for him.
No, I was just actually watching Matt myself, and coming out of 1 and 2 last time by, I was behind Bradley Ellison, and he got a bit of a wiggle coming out of 1 and 2, just a slight wiggle, which is showing how much the tyres are upset for someone like him.
So 22.3 for Roby there, but just the speed is so different at the moment. The guys on fresh tyres are so much faster than everybody else out there. You know, they're a good second a lap faster, and they are going to make up some serious positions and some serious time on the leaders here. The big question is now, is it worth just staying out in this position? Because I think what everybody's hoping for is a caution right now. So they can all pit under the caution flag. As we see Foster really struggling as well out there now too. He's used up a bit of those tyres to get past Danny G. And those tyres are starting to really melt away from him as we get a few more cars coming into the pits. We've got Danny G, Shea Thompson and Riley Curtis into the pits now. So Danny G's decided to pull the trigger on that one and come in. And I imagine we're going to see a few other competitors come in on this one too.
Yeah, a few laps earlier there than we expected, but maybe their fuel life or tyre life wasn't able to stay there as long as they wanted.
Yeah, I think it's more just tyres than anything else, because it just really is just on the edge out there. It's just running on a knife edge, and I mean, within a couple of laps, you're going to gain a fair few. Well, you're going to gain, if you're gaining about a second and a half a lap, which these guys are, you're going to sort of shoot past a lot of people in front of you. We've seen pretty much everybody down is sort of coming into the pit lane and sort of pitting. We've got Bradley Allison in now. Bradley Allison just coming into the pits now, which has let Hamish Gallagher through, of course, who stopped a little bit earlier. So Hamish Gallagher is the first of those pitters that's really coming up to fight, as we see Clewett's come in as well. So we're starting to see everybody starting to peel in now. It's that sort of magical lap of lap 74, 75 where they can one-stop this race. They're going to want to go maybe 1 or 2 laps longer.
Yeah, and this is where we'll see again the speed difference, and this can cause big problems for drivers, and also being on fresh cold tyres.
Yeah, when you come back out here on cold tyres, of course, when you're used to running on these very slippery hot tyres, Skurlock is in as well, and Sloggett has come in too. So we've got a few of the pitters, and a big moment for Jason Hartigan there. He almost got taken out there. He had a big moment just coming across the just coming past the pit lane. The car's just stepped out on him, and he's managed to just about catch it, and just missed the pit entry wall by millimeters there. Almost a massive crash there, but he's managed to keep it out there. And these guys are staying out there a bit longer. Hartigan has pitted now, though. He has come in. And this is going to be a big step for Hamish Gallagher. Hamish Gallagher's going to get a good step from this. Edward Foster's in now. When are we going to see Matt Danson, Micklemore and Martin come in?
I have no idea. Matt's still making time up somehow. Here, he's nearly got everyone bar the top 3 lapped at the moment.
Yeah, he's in the 23s at the moment still, which is, well, it's a good, about half a second slower than the rest of them. All of those top drivers are keeping in the 23s somehow. They're keeping in the low 23s. But they are getting caught by those lappers. So everybody's a lap down because they've stopped, of course. The cars behind him now have all stopped. So they're starting to catch on him. And we've just seen Hamish Gallagher there just get past Danson and get back on the lead lap. So Hamish Gallagher has managed to get his lap back now ahead of Danson. So Danson's really just holding out there just for as long as possible. We've seen Jason Martin is in now as well. So Martin has blinked. Josh Micklemore is still sticking it out there with Danson, and they must just be hoping for a caution right now.
Yeah, Micklemore must be trying to run the similar or same strategy to Danson, just to cover him and hope that something goes down, that he can be there to make up that 6+ seconds now that Danson's pulled out too.
Yeah, well, he's sort of Micklemore's been gaining a little bit. He's lost time, but he has gained time as well. So he's not that far off. He's sort of keeping in a relatively good spot on Danson. Um, but the longer they stay out here now, it's going to help them later in the race. But if a caution comes out, it can completely ruin them.
Yeah, as we see Matt slide a bit of a fall there, so those tyres are definitely starting to scream already.
No, he's still staying out there. It looks like he's just going for it. And is he going to come in this lap?
No,
We'll have
he's
to wait and
not.
see. No, he's still out there. And Micklemore, he's going to be staying out there as well because he just could not get into the pit lane that time because he had cars underneath him. So that's another problem you might start facing, is you're going to want to pit in, but you've got too many cars passing you underneath you on the actual pit entry sometimes because they're all on those fresh tyres, and that can sometimes scarper your stop. But it looks like Danson and Micklemore are just staying out there for the, well, just to really just keep it going. As Danny G and Matt Danson get very close there. Danny G just getting his, getting past to get one lap down. Getting a lap back there on Danson, and if Danson pits under green now, he's going to be dropping back an enormous amount of positions. We've seen Jason Martin, he has dropped back all the way to 19th position. So you can see the difference those tyres have made, and those earlier stops have made. Yeah, this is really gonna. They're going to be right at the back of the pack if they have to pit under green.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it plays out. But we also know, knowing Matt, he loves that extra challenge to race back through the pack at the last second to take the win.
He does like that challenge indeed, but it might be too much to ask. As we get to lap 88, if we remain green, I don't think he'll be able to manage it, in all honesty. If we remain green, that is. Because he's losing time hand over fist at the moment, as well as Josh Micklemore. And you're going to have fresher tyres for the latter stages of this race. But we've seen with people like Hamish Gallagher and James Roby, they did stop a lot earlier, and they're still setting relatively comparative good times. They're only about 6 to 5 tenths off the drivers like Skurlock, who stopped on lap 75. So Danson missed his pit stop there. He's missed the entry there, and that is that's the problem that can also happen, is you get such understeer as you try to pit here now, is you might miss your stop. He could have almost made a big mistake there and gone into the actual barrier.
So that officially cost him about 2 seconds to not be able to pit there and have to pull it back out for another lap.
And it's going to cost Josh Micklemore more because he's got a pack of cars underneath him. He can't pit. He can't come in on Danson's lap. He's stuck there on the outside as all of these guys on fresh tyres are on the inside. So he's going to have to try and slot himself back in. I can see his teammate coming up behind him now. He's trying to get down there, but he can't physically get the car down enough to get into the pit lane at the moment. He's just struggling to get around there. I imagine he's going to try this lap round. He'll have to try this lap round, I think, because otherwise I don't think he'll be able to actually get in because there's going to be too many cars passing him. He's got a bit of clean air at least, but he's got to stop soon, surely.
Yeah. Interesting that as Matt exited the pits there, he didn't go in between the green cones at the end of the pit lane, so I don't know if iRacing will try pin him for that for unsafe release or anything, but we'll see how that plays out.
We will, and yeah, we've got the Mitch Motorsport cars of Martin and Micklemore there, just showing the fresh tyres on Martin. He's just breezed past, and Micklemore is staying out. I think he is just risking a caution at the moment. He is just going hell for leather and just hoping a caution comes out because Gallagher is catching him at a vast rate of knots. Hamish Gallagher was, well, he pitted for tyres on lap 50. He's now about 8.5 seconds behind Micklemore, catching him at about a second a lap. So he's catching him very quickly. Just on the Danson, he has managed to come out in 6th position on timing screen. So it's cost him a few positions, but now will those fresher tyres help him? He's got Matthew Clert in front of him, who stopped on lap 74. But he's got to try and catch Michael Skurlock, who stopped on lap 75 now. And Skurlock is, well, he's a long way in front of Danson.
Yeah, it'll be a hard task for Danson, but we've seen Danson pull off some amazing stuff before, and we expect nothing less from him at this point in time, do we, Carl?
Well, that's it. He puts the pressure on himself sometimes, and it's definitely showing there. Just jumping on board to Josh Micklemore, and he is just feathering around. He is fuel saving like nothing else at the moment. He's basically running no RPM through the corners and just trying to save as much fuel as possible by the sounds of it. Just jumped on board to have a quick look on his car. Yeah, he's definitely fuel saving. So I think he's just praying for a caution right now. If a caution comes out, it could really help him right now. And yeah, it could be something that works well for him. But the longer he stays out, the worse it's going to be.
Yeah, it's definitely a crazy idea, but crazy does work sometimes.
Yeah, it's a 23.19 for Micklemore there, which is actually not that far off of Gallagher's pace. Now, of course, he has low fuel, and Gallagher's actually pitted. Gallagher's pitted before Micklemore here. So Micklemore has stayed out there. Skurlock is now chasing down Micklemore. How much further can Micklemore go on this fuel and on these tyres? So Skurlock was round on a 22.4 for his last lap, and Micklemore is a 23.2. So, you know, he is catching him at some serious speed. But of course, when Micklemore comes out, he'll be on much fresher tyres. But he's got to sort of start looking at coming in relatively soon, because the longer he stays out here, the harder it will be to catch up to the guys in front of him.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Gallagher flinch when he did. But it was exactly the same amount of time that he spent on his first set of tyres to his second set of tyres there, so...
Yeah, he's really going for that. He's committed to the two-stop strategy for sure, as Skurlock just gets a really good turn in there, as Shea Thompson, I think it was, just got a little bit out of shape. But it's just really it's just fascinating to see how this is going. You know, what is he going to be able to do?
So 2 questions for you now, Carl. We're going to get a caution, and we're going to see Micklemore win.
If we get a caution, I think Micklemore is in with a very good chance. If we don't get a caution, he's in for some trouble. He might be causing that caution himself, though, as he gets all 4 wheels loose up into turns 2. Sorry, I still have to do mental arithmetic as I do this track. Turn 2 there, all 4 tyres just started losing traction.
Yeah, he's Jaeger in underneath him, which is the problem being the slower car here. You've got to let the cars underneath, because that's a chosen line.
Exactly, it is, and he's a second slower than Skurlock. Just looking at timing. But James Roby's actually sort of pretty much the same sort of lap times as our leader Micklemore. He's sort of setting similar lap times, and he's doing that sort of 2-stop strategy as well. He stopped on lap 51, as Hartigan's going to come underneath Micklemore here, and they get very close to each other. A cigarette paper between them, and Foster's going to come through very quickly as well. And the rear end of that car is not looking happy right now.
Oh, yeah. How much longer is it going to be safe for Josh to be out there 4 without him either wrecking himself or wrecking someone else. We know
Well-
Josh is one of the very, very capable drivers out here, and we're not saying anything that he's not capable of doing something like this, but as we know, tyres wear away and it does become dangerous to be out there.
Well, just to put this to you, Matt Danson is now 9 seconds away from Josh Micklemore. So, yeah, he is really just praying for a caution here now. He is just holding out as much as he can, but if that caution doesn't come in the next 2 laps, I think Micklemore is going to stop and he's going to drop down a fair few positions. But Danson is currently catching on Skurlock, setting about a tenth faster every sort of lap. He's just nibbling away at Skurlock's lead. Cluett is just behind him, and he's catching on Danson still. They're still getting some pace in them. The guy that's really dropping off is James Roby at the moment. He is struggling a bit out there. A bit of ease for Micklemore at the moment is he has got his teammate behind him in Danny G, so he's got his teammate there just underneath him at the moment. So somebody that will, you know, give him a little bit of help and make it a little bit easier for him to run side by side with, hopefully. But yeah, Micklemore's making it very hard for himself out there tonight. He's really rolling the dice on this one.
Yeah, to me, Micklemore's got about 3 more laps. To me, the fuel window's around the 115 lap mark if you're really pushing it.
Yeah, it is, and Roby's come in again. So yeah, as I say, he was doing that 2-stop strategy, and we'll have to see how that pays out for the end of the race. We did see him catching quite quickly, but it does look like the single stoppers are you know, having the easiest time at the moment. Skurlock's looking good, and then of course we've got to say Danson as well. He's in a very good position because he stopped on lap 91, whereas Skurlock stopped on 75. So those tyres are much fresher on him. And Skurlock is within a second and a half. He's catching him. As I'm looking at my gap between the two, it is literally going down in seconds. It's going down like a clock at the moment. The times they're catching each other. Definitely going to catch him on this lap. They're within half a second of each other now, and you can just see Skurlock right behind him. James Roby's actually just come out behind Skurlock on those fresher tyres, and Micklemore's in. Micklemore is pitting, so he's coming at last. He's finally had to blink. He's pushed that car to the ragged edge there. That was... And he did come in a little bit quickly there, so we'll have to see if he gets a ping on that one. It will be interesting to see, but the battle is at the front now because Danson is catching on Skurlock.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if he got pinned there and how this plays out for him, how far it throws him down the field here.
We do, and there we go. Danson has just got underneath Skurlock and has taken the lead back. Matt Danson is back in the lead of this race, ladies and gentlemen. We thought he was leaving it a bit too late. I honestly thought we'd see him drop a few more positions, but it's worked perfectly for him. It seems like that stop just absolutely came at the right time for Danson and really has paid off for him because he has got the speed of everybody else. He's on fresher tyres. And he's having a much easier time as he just gets very close to Hamish Gallagher there as Gallagher goes down the inside of Danson. He's on fresher tyres again because he has just stopped and almost gets it coming together.
And unfortunately, we see Josh sitting in pits for a very long time there after the tyres were put on, so he did get pinned for that entry there and speeding in pit lane, unfortunately.
A real shame there because... A real shame there because that was one hell of a stint. 116 laps on those tyres is something else, and he's come out P18. So yeah, really, it's not paid off for him unfortunately, and yeah, it's going to be hard to recover from that one now. 3 laps down, P18. A real shame for Micklemore. That was that was a really ballsy stint there. He really did. He really put a risk in there, and it could have paid off. But the green stayed out, and it really did end up costing him.
Well, even once the tyres had been put on that car, he hadn't dropped that many spots. It's just that he got held there for the unsafe and too quick entry. So that really cost him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and well, you got to ask as well. Was that down to tyre wear? Because of course, when you come in on these tyres when they are so worn, it's easy to lock a brake, to snag a brake. It can be harder to actually slow the car down because, of course, tyres aren't there to just get you around the corners. They're there to stop the car as well. So when you do come in on those very worn tyres, it can really cost you in other ways than just lateral grip.
Yeah.
A guy that is doing quite well at the moment, well, a pair of guys that are doing quite well at the moment for JP Simshed are Hardigan and Foster. They've crept up there in 4th and 5th at the moment, with Hamish Gallagher in 6th. So they're working their way up there quietly, and also Matthew Cluett as well. Brilliant race. We've spoken about him a couple of times tonight, just in a couple of close incidents, well, close racing, close passing. Sorry, I shouldn't say incidents, but close racing moments there for Cluett. But he's just snuck his way up there to P3. And we saw this from him last year. He just managed to nurse the car and get the car up there into those top spots all through the season, and that got him through to the chase. So, Cluett's one not to write off on the season. He is very good at getting the car home and getting the car home in some good positions.
Yeah, it's again about consistency, especially when it comes down to getting into the chase. It's consistency over getting outright wins, and we've seen that with the chase last year in real life, where Mr. Kyle Busch won it without even winning a single race.
Yeah, it's it can be done, and especially in oval racing. I remember back in I've got to use my brain now. I think it was 2002. Gilles de Ferran won the Champ Car Championship with one race win. He almost managed to do it without a race win, but he got a race win at the end and managed to top off the championship very, very handily. But yeah, it's one of those things on oval racing where winning is not always it's not always guaranteeing you a championship.
No, it's definitely, if you're a one-off winner, it won't guarantee you a championship. You got to be consistent, and that's the difference between a driver that shows up, has a win, and then falls back to being a back of the pack to a middle of the pack driver, compared to a driver that can be that top 10, top 15 week in, week out.
And speaking of drivers that are in that sort of top 10, top 15, Hamish Gallagher unfortunately has dropped out of the race. It looks like a technical failure for him on his end of servers. He's dropped off the grid and dropped off the map. So Hamish Gallagher is the first person out of this race, which is, as I say, we were expecting a caution fest here tonight. Me and Jono were talking before the race started, being like, well, it's going to be a long one tonight. There's going to be a lot of cautions, and I think we put the commentator's curse on that one.
That doesn't worry me. It makes it a bit more interesting for everyone at home.
It does, and it's what we love to see. It's good to see this this level of close racing and speed on a green stint like this, where we've had a couple of races where we've had some unfortunate incidents. We looked last time out at Bristol. There were a few unfortunate incidents at that race, and it's one of the things on oval racing. When everything works, it's fine, but sometimes things will just not go your way, and a lot of it can be luck.
Yeah, a lot of it can be and tends to be luck. You do have obviously a skill there that helps, but there is a lot of luck also involved.
It is, and you do make your own luck sometimes. We saw that with Jason Martin earlier in the season. He had a couple of moments where he got involved in some incidents where it was a bit unlucky for him, but if things gone differently, it could have gone better for him. And there is that thing of making your own luck in motorsport, but at the same time, you can easily get caught out in somebody else's accident, like we saw with Matt Danson last week at Bristol, where he got caught up in the incident where half the midfield got taken out, and he was one of the unfortunate cars that just got just T-boned a follow car, and that was it for him. And it is that thing of, it can happen so quickly on these ovals, and we've seen tonight just some brilliant skill out there, just from holding on to these cars, because these things are absolute pigs to drive on these tyres, and you can just see. I was just looking at Cluett there, and he is just muscling that car around. He's got full opposite lock going through some of the corners. You can also start to see some of the marbles as well on the track. There are quite a few marbles on the infield, just on the low line, just below the racing line, as Cluett gets a full wheel drift going across the start finish line there. Pretty well handled there from him. But yeah, there's a lot of marbles forming out there now.
Yeah, as we close in on close to 10 to go here, all that rubber throughout the race now is all getting chucked out close out to the outside fence there, and that'll just be building up throughout the race. So you definitely don't want to be going out there at this stage in the race, or else we will see a caution.
Yes, it's easy to do, as we see his teammate there behind him, Matthew Cluett's teammate, just tagging the wall just very slightly. Sloggett there, just catching the wall just very, very lightly though, so no real damage to the car, but just enough to sort of, make you wake up again as you're going through this race. But it is so easy to get caught out here still, and it's one of those skills in motorsport where it is that thing of, it's a bit like an endurance race, just getting the car home. It is a very tricky skill, and it's something that some of the best drivers in the world struggle with, is sort of nursing a car back on worn tyres and that are a little bit sort of a little bit less than brand new in some circumstances. But when these tyres are so worn, you're basically nursing the car home, and you're just racing to a sort of a pace that you can just keep the car on the track. And it is incredibly difficult, because you want to go as fast as you can, but you just have to lift off a little bit before, and you have to mentally think about it. And of course, you put more mental aspect onto those lifting moments in the braking sections, and that can sometimes cause you to crash. But as we say, so far tonight, the field have been driving superbly.
Yeah, it's one of those things, especially if you're a bit tired, you have a bit of a moment, next minute you're braking too late, or you're lifting too late, and you're going to be pushed out further than you want to be, and just upsets the whole banking, and then you're either in the wall or you're not getting the exit you want, and someone's all over you.
It's just so easy to do, and one of the things I've noticed that there has been good communication between the drivers, just between themselves on the track, just letting them know when they're coming through, just letting them know if they're going to go high, going to stay low, things like that. They've been on their best behaviour tonight, you can say.
Yeah, that's one thing that we have the advantage of here in iRacing, is being able to talk to each other, because we don't have crew chiefs that can talk amongst each other in the boxes.
No, you don't get the old crew chiefs running down the pit lane frantically trying to talk to a team and ask them politely to heed off. Just looking down the field, actually, Danny G's getting caught up by Shea Thompson. Shea Thompson having a great race today, up in 7th place at the moment, just catching Danny G at this stage, under half a second in it between those two. Lachlan as well is also catching on Josh Micklemore, who's working his way up. He's managed to work his way up to 14th position, Micklemore, so those fresh tyres are definitely helping him out, but he's still a long way down, unfortunately. We might see Micklemore manage to get up into possibly the top 10. I reckon we could see a top 10 finish for Micklemore here.
You reckon with only 4 laps to go? 3 laps to go.
Yeah, just looking at that. But Speedy's catching. He's only He's about a second lap faster than the guys around him, and he might get it. He's got Phil Otto and Jason Martin to catch, and he's just passed Phil Otto.
Matt Danson really stretching out those legs now with 9.5 second lead at the moment.
Yeah, Danson just absolutely pushing it and setting a ridiculously fast lap time at it as well. Setting some of the fastest laps out there, 22.7 on that last lap, which is one of the fastest laps out there. The only sort of guys faster are James Roby, who was a 22.6, who's on much fresher tyres. So definitely pushing it. And see right now, Micklemore has got Danson in front of him, and that's got to be a bit of a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah, as we bring you the white flag presented to you by Harbour Racing Simulation, as Matt Danson comes under to take the checkered flag.
So
and it's all over.
Danson will have done it. So yeah,
by 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dominant one there for Danson. He did very well in that one, and takes the flag as we see Cluett just behind him, a lap down, just giving the car a bit of a wiggle as well as it goes around there.
Only one car finishing on the lead lap today, and that's Skurlock. And good job by him to do that.
Yeah, Matthew Cluett almost made it. He almost made it onto being on the lead lap, but he just got caught at the end by Danson, who had a fantastic drive. And just looking down the field, Micklemore ended up in 13th at the end, just behind his teammate Jason Martin. So Mitch Motorsport having a bit of a horror night there, really. Didn't work out for either of those two drivers, who were both in contention for this race earlier on, of course. But Matt Danson has taken the victory here at Richmond.
Yeah, in a very green race compared to what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, we did not have a single caution tonight, which is absolutely brilliant. It's what we love to see. So we'll just go through those results for you. So in P1, of course, Matt Danson with Michael Skurlock behind him, 10 seconds in the end. Skurlock managed to get 10 seconds, and Skurlock was on quite old tyres, so he did very well there to actually get that finish. Matthew Cluett in third with Jason Hartigan fourth. Fifth was Edward Foster with Danny G in sixth. Shea Thompson getting 7th in the end, ahead of James Roby. Great job for Shea there. Bradley Allison in 9th place with Norman Clark finishing out the top 10. So 3 cars for JP Simshed Racing there in the top 10 in the end. So they're going to be pretty happy about that one. Riley Curtis in 11th with Jason Martin in 12th. Josh Micklemore 13th with Phil Otto 14th. Lachlan in 15th with Matt Hunter 16th. Kai Sloggett 17th with Rob Fletcher in 18th. 19th was Tristan Koch with Michael Latterer in 20th. 21st, we had Raymond Yeager, who had some issues earlier on in the race, unfortunately. And Mick Wilson rounds out the field of finishers. So 22 finishes out of 23, a pretty impressive stat. Hamish Gallagher being the only retirement due to I believe, a technical failure on the internet side. So otherwise, we would have probably had all of the cars finished there. Fantastic job by those guys.
Yeah, really amazing job. Just goes to show the strength and capability of all our drivers here tonight.
It does. So what I'm going to do is grab down Mr. Danson for Horizon Racing Team and say hello to him. Matt Danson, Carl Withy here for Simshed Broadcasting for the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup. Congratulations on that victory.
Hey, Carl. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that was a good clean race there.
Yeah, it's much better than Bristol, that's for sure. I was waiting for something crazy to happen, but it was really.
Yeah, we were kind of sort of waiting for it all to unfold, for a caution to come out, for everything to sort of go crazy. But everybody stayed very sort of green out there. Just on your strategy in the end there, yourself and Micklemore, Josh Micklemore, of course, he stayed out a lot longer than you in the end. But were you guys staying out a bit longer, just hoping for that caution, or were you just running to just get a bit fresher tyres for the end of the race?
Yeah, I was just personally just trying to keep the the good goods, keep the nice fresh tires. Because obviously the longer I could keep it, there's no point essentially in me pitting early, just to put myself out of sequence. So I was just sort of seeing what the field was doing. Obviously, my sort of marker was Hamish for a while, because I think he was the more further up of the guys that pit early. But then I noticed that Skurlock had got around him, so I was just sort of watching where they were at and what they were doing and basing it off that and yeah, trying to work out when I thought I should come in.
Yeah, it paid off in the end, but just on your pit stop, the lap before your pit stop, a bit of a brown alert moment as you came into the pit lane there.
Yeah, I hadn't done any any practice at all, and I thought, yeah, all right, let's pit this lap. That'll be good. And I don't know if it was just like looking in my mirror just to see who was around me. I guess maybe threw myself off, and just felt like I was getting in there hot. I might have been able to make it, but there's just no point risking it, because if I did make it, maybe I was going to speed. Who knows? So I thought better off just turn right and do one more lap, and it didn't cost me too much. I think it probably cost me about 3-4 seconds, but in the grand scheme of things, not too bad.
You bang on there. It cost you about 3.5 seconds. So yeah, out there racing and you can work it out still. That's better than I can do here when I'm just even just calling it. Actually, your rival tonight, Josh Mickelmore, he had the same problem. It looks like he got caught speeding in the pit lane, just coming a bit too hot as well. Just on those, were those one tyres quite hard to come in on? Was that sort of part of the problem? Just because they were quite hot, they were just causing a bit of problems slowing down?
Yeah, I mean, when I pit, my tyres are finished, so I imagine that Josh, because he stayed out like an extra 20 something laps, I think it was. So his would have been in real poor shape. So it's just hard getting it woed up, just before the line, especially if you haven't really practiced it, because it seems like an easy entry, but then it just creeps up on you. So I was wondering sort of what had happened to Josh, but I figured he must have got a penalty of some sort. Looked like that had happened to a few people, so it's tricky, but yeah, got it done.
Yeah, it worked out well for you in the end. I mean, again, you've done it on tyre saving. You're one of those guys that just loves those tyres and manages to get them working for you no matter the track.
You saying I'm not fast, Carl?
No, the trouble is you're fast, but you're also incredibly good on your tyres, and it's very annoying.
I treat them like they're my best friend, and yeah, usually works out pretty good.
And again, it is worked out well for you here. So next up, we're at Talladega, of course, a completely different beast.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, I obviously Talladega. The issue there is it's a bit of a lottery, but if we can keep our nose clean, we'll be in it, I suppose.
Yeah, well, we'll hopefully have you up in the box for it then. So before I let you go, just the usual shout-outs and things like that before you leave us.
Yeah, cheers. So we've got Vegan Food Melbourne on Instagram. It's obviously the number one. Peter, looking out for the animals at all times. What else we got? Matt Danson 30. Check it out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Eventually I get around to posting things, and there are usually pretty pictures of my different cars. So that's cool. Horizon Racing Team, all the boys there. Continued success through Road to Pro has been good for the team. Not a super awesome run for myself, but we'll get there. ANZCAR obviously put on the league. Like I said, tonight was sort of the more the ANZCAR we're familiar with. Clean racing. Not 1,000 yellows and sort of silly things happening. So it's good to see it get back to that after last week. What else? So you guys for obviously doing your broadcast and everything. JP, what is it, SimShed? Or yeah. And yeah, that'll do for tonight, I think.
Yeah, that's your list done for tonight. You have to save a few for Talladega, of course.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah.
Sorry.
Peterson Irrigation. Well, that's only useful for people not living in Australia, but nevertheless, we'll get it out there. But yeah, Talladega, let's get a win.
Get it out there, indeed. Well, we'll hope to see you back up in the booth for Talladega. Keep yourself well. Good luck in the Road to Pro, and we'll catch up with you again at some stage in the season.
Thanks, mate.
Matt Danson there, the winner for the Horizon Racing team. So next up, we'll grab Mr. Skurlock down. Michael Skurlock, Carl Withy here for JP Simshed for the Abruzzi ANZCAR series. How are you going?
Good, mate. I'm back again. I'm back.
Yeah, I know, we can't get rid of you. As much as we try, you keep coming up to the booth.
Yeah, surprised myself in this one. A full greenie, mate. That's been a long time since we've had a nice greenie like that.
It has been. Yeah, my voice is paying for it indeed. I've not had time for a quick drink or anything like that. It's terrible. But complaining myself, it must have been a bit tricky for yourself out there tonight.
It gets a bit tiring, to be honest, when you don't. I mean, like when you have heaps of yellows, you always wish you had a green race, but when you have a green one, you would love it, like one or two yellows in there. That's the perfect number, I reckon. Just to keep your head in the game, get a bit of a drink, you know.
Yeah, just a nice
have a little
caution.
snack.
Yeah, exactly. A caution to grab yourself a Tim Tam, have a quick sip of a drink, and just relax and reset yourself. And of course, get a quick pit stop in while you're at it. Strategy-wise, sort of worked out perfectly for you. You stopped bang on middle of race, lap 75, and seems to have paid off well for you in the end.
Yeah, I just chopped it up. I know Danson tends to like going longer, and he somehow manages to make it pay off. You know, like he always. I think he does it on purpose sometimes. To be honest, he likes to cut it so like he just gets around you with 2 to go. You know, demoralises you. But yeah, obviously this time he was class of the field there. But yeah, obviously I think Mitchell was trying to go the whole run without pitting.
Yeah, he managed to
yeah,
go,
I think that stabbed him in the back there was the end of it.
Yeah, he caught a speeding penalty coming into the pit lane, unfortunately. He went 115 laps before pitting, which is quite a stint, in all honesty. Just looking at you guys out there on sort of just doing sort of the 75 laps at that sort of rate, the car looks like a real handful.
Yeah, it's like you're just running on 4 lumps of jelly. And it's as when you're going into the corners too, the thing really wobbles around like it's not like a straight line when you slow down. You got to sort of fight it a bit. It's kind of weird the way that the new tyre does it, but you know, it worked for me. But I can't say I was super comfortable. Other than that, yeah, just try and hit the same line every lap, and that's the key. I think just repeat.
Yeah, and it's paying off for you this year. You've marked your way up to the top of the championship, and you're going to stay there again for this race.
Yeah, well, hopefully Danson keeps getting penalty points, mate. Keep throwing penalties at him. Keep him behind me.
We'll throw some success ballast on him at some stage. But we've got Talladega coming up next, and that is a completely different beast. And I imagine that's quite different for you now, being out there on your own.
Yeah, I get a bit claustrophobic in those races. I don't like those plate races at all. But I don't know. I made some friends over the. You know, you don't have to be on people's teams to be friends with people. So hopefully people will be nice to me.
Well, we'll wish you luck, and we'll hopefully get you up here again. I think it's been 4 or 5 races in a row for you up here so far. It's going well. You've got a bit of a streak going on.
Yeah, I'm getting a sore throat from talking on here too much, mate.
You'll get tired of it soon enough. Before I let you go, usual thing, shout outs and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just shout out to the missus and my son again. Like I said before, they don't watch it. They don't care about it at all, but why not? Relentless Esports, which is a new primarily dirt team that started up. Yeah, hopefully big things happen there. And just you guys for putting on the show. JP Simshed, Edward, Matt, Hunter, Danny G, everybody. Just keep your chin on the rim, boys. Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mick. We'll catch you. We'll hopefully catch you for Talladega. Keep the streak going, mate.
Oh, I hope so, mate. Thank you.
Second place man there, Michael Skurlock. Yeah, a bit of a streak going on at the moment and leading the championship.
Yeah, he's had a fair few very good races there, and it shows in the results of the championship.
Does indeed, and we'll grab down Matthew Cluett as well. It's been a while since we've had a quick chat to Cluett, but P3 for him tonight.
If you let the fishermen go fishing.
Matty Cluett, Carl Withy here with JP Simshed, Simshed Broadcasting for the Abruzzi ANZCAR Cup. We dragged you down mid-conversation there, as is the
that's all right.
usual way things go. Congratulations on P3.
Yeah, thank you. It was a fun race. I couldn't believe it went green the whole way.
Yeah, it was relentless a bit out there. We saw you having a couple of moments where you had all four tyres losing traction and having a bit of a slide around the track there for a couple of laps.
Yeah, it's not easy out there. You just got to, I don't know, it just hit like a little bump or something and get a bit sideways, and you just got to relax and try and keep it smooth. And
yeah, we saw a couple of
too much.
no, we saw a couple of four-wheel drifts from you.
Yeah.
And you put on a good show for us tonight, which is what we like to see. Obviously, it's been going quite well for you. It's not been quite as good a start to season as last year, obviously. It's sort of been a bit unlucky in some places. But obviously, you're sort of in your usual way, just working your way up there quietly, yourself and the team, of course. You're currently sort of, I think this will get you up into the top 10 in the championship now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so you're climbing back up there.
Yeah, awesome.
Will we see you up in the chase, do you think, this year again?
Oh, hopefully. Oh, I want to be, for sure. That was good fun last year. I really enjoyed it. Wish I had a bit more in the last race there, but yeah, you never know. Practice for this year.
That's it. Look, focus on it a bit. Obviously, next time out we're in Talladega, and you're one of you're with of course MFR now, and you're one of the stronger teams out there now. You're one of the teams with more cars out there now. Do you feel it's going to help you out quite a bit?
Yeah, it's good to have teammates out there too, but yeah, we got to make sure we don't run into each other and cause trouble, and just do what we have to do, work together.
Yeah,
especially in Daytona and Talladega.
Yeah, it is a bit of a lottery in Dega sometimes. It's it's one of those tracks that it can be very rewarding, but most of the time it will punish you. But tonight went very well for you. Anything that you did sort of differently tonight, or was it just a good race for you in general?
No, not really. I just particularly enjoy that track a lot. I've driven there. I've done a lot of racing here, so I know what to do, how to drive this track.
Practice always makes perfect. So before I let you run out the booth, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight and thank?
Yeah, definitely. All the guys at MFR there. Thanks, have all been good. WPC Concreting, Snap-on Tools Blacktown, Auto Kings, Aussie Signs and Designs, Andrews Crane Hire, Virtual Car Art, Little Tackers Boutique, LaSalle Racing Team, and Gearing Motorsport, all our sponsors.
You got to have a bit of a list just standing up next to you, don't you? Sometimes for all the sponsors you have to call out, makes it a bit tricky.
Yeah, definitely.
It's good to have you up in the booth. I think it's the first time we've had you up in the booth this season.
Yeah, I think it's my best result of the year actually so far.
Yeah, so it's good to have you back up here. So hope to see you up here again. Good luck in Talladega.
Yep, cool. Thank you.
Matthew Cluett there for Middle Finger Racing. Great result there, P3, and of course last year he managed to get in the chase just with those consistent positions. So I'm sure he's going to be hoping for that again.
Yeah, it would be good to see him back in the chase again this year.
Yeah, and I imagine he's going to be working hard for it. So as we said, next time we're going to be at Talladega, and that's on April the 23rd. So make sure to join us there. And just a reminder to all competitors and watchers, of course, we are starting an hour early. So practice has been cut down to 1 hour. So that starts at, I forget my times now. That starts at 6:30 Adelaide time, which is 6 o'clock Central, I think, or 6:30. 7 o'clock. There we go. Thank you very much, JP. I'm terrible at time zones, as you've probably worked out already. But yeah, we have changed the times around a little bit just because of maintenance for the servers for iRacing. So we're doing an hour practice, and then we're doing the race an hour earlier than usual. So make sure to be home for that and be ready to watch. And of course, if you're competing, make sure to be ready and in the qualifying to get into the race for that one as well. And Jono, just any last words before we go?
No, just as always, we'd like to thank everyone that watched tonight and all our new subscribers and watchers tonight.
Yeah, big shout out to everybody that's watched tonight. We really appreciate it. And of course, Abruzzi, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, Hybrid Racing Simulator Solutions, and iLiveries, that's the one. I'm forgetting things myself right there, which is perfectly normal for me. Anyway, for myself and for Jono and JP, of course, sitting there on the cameras, we wish you a good night, and we will see you at Talladega. Bye bye.